come to a comfortable seat, and you can be cross-legged or seated on your heels, whatever feels the best. And we'll start with a nice and straight spine so that you feel the crown of your head reaching up toward the ceiling and your sit bones rooting down toward the earth. And take a big cleansing breath as you arrive. Letting it go. Relaxing the muscles of the face. Relaxing the shoulders. And just taking a moment to tune in with the breath. Maybe activating your Ujjayi breath, creating that slight restriction in the back of your throat, so that you have this audible inhale and exhale throughout your practice, anchoring you. And each time that you inhale, let the crown of your head reach up a little bit more. And each time you exhale, let your sit bones ground down a little bit more. And 2 more breaths, relaxing the shoulders, softening the jaw. 1 more exhale. And you can start to bring your hands to your shoulders and point your elbows away from you. So reaching in opposite directions, feeling expansion across your chest and your heart space. Feel expansion across the collarbones. And keeping the bottom of the arms level with the shoulders so that you feel a stretch on your triceps. And then begin to take circles with your elbows going forward. They can start small and get bigger. They can start pretty big. Just whatever feels good. And doing your best to isolate the movement to the shoulder. You'll feel how the rest of your body kind of wants to circle with it. But the more you isolate it, the more it'll be focused on the shoulder itself. And you can switch directions whenever you're ready. Going backwards and moving with your breath. Just checking in with how the shoulders are doing this morning. And then once you feel even in both directions, you can release the hands from the shoulders and just reach them up toward the ceiling. Just get really long in the side bodies and notice if your back starts to arch, and just recognize how that's taking away length from the spine. So doing your best to keep your spine straight. It's going to have a natural arch, natural curve, but not exaggerated. And then trying your best to keep your biceps alongside the ears. And then doing that little dance of keeping the biceps alongside the ears and then straightening out the back. Because usually when you bring the biceps up more or back more, the back will want to arch. So just keeping that center line of your body really long, relaxing the jaw and the forehead, and then start to take some circles with your hands and your wrists. You can go a few times in both directions, just waking up the hands. You can even open and close the hands, kind of freestyle if you want, just to check in with the fingers and the wrists and the hands. And then as you're doing this, you can start to reach higher with alternating sides. So reaching up more intentionally with your left side, reaching up more with the right, and just kind of going back and forth. You can go slowly, just getting a little bit more length on each side of the body. And then next time your left arm is reaching up, drop your right arm down by your side and just keep reaching over to the right. Awesome. So you'll feel that length, keeping that left sit bone rooted down. Feel that length from the sit bone through the fingertips, getting long as possible. And then also tune into the space in between your right armpit and your right hip. and try to lengthen that as well. So you're bringing the corner or the tip of your head toward the corner of the room, or like where the wall meets the ceiling. So you're keeping length in the spine, but you're just kind of tipping over. Awesome. And then you can start to curl and make more of like a curl with your spine. So shortening the right side of the body, and just feel that difference as you curl into the right side and make like an N shape with your upper body, and then straighten out the spine, but still be leaning. So just kind of noticing that difference. And then once you're feeling good, you can start to turn your heart to face toward the ground, and just sweep your arms so that they come to the center, and fold for a moment over the ankles. Release the head. Take a big exhale. And then start to push into the hands and ground your sit bones back to the ground, and start to slowly walk your hands toward your seat. Reach the arms back up as you inhale. And then start to reach up more through the right arm as you exhale. Drop down the left arm and bend over. So you can start by just getting that right body as long as possible. So just exaggerating the space between the right sit bone rooted down through the right fingertips. Or you can also switch the crossing of your legs if you want to. Up to you. And then just feeling that curl in the spine, feeling that exaggerated length in the right side. And then remembering the space between the left hip and the left armpit, and keeping that long as well. And then you can kind of go back and forth between curling the spine and just leaning and lengthening the spine in all directions. And you can just notice how this side feels compared to the last. And notice how this feels in your organs and your belly as well. That stretch across the abdominals. Maybe giving yourself a little bit more space on the right side of the stomach. Awesome. And then you can start to turn your heart to face toward the ground. So you get that nice stretch down the right back. And then just walk the hands as you come over to the center. And fold for a moment here. Release the head. Release the head completely, so you feel a slight stretch in the back of your neck. Maybe setting an intention for the practice. Maybe just connecting back to the breath. Then as you're ready, you can root down in the hands and either roll over the ankles into your table or kick the feet back behind you, and we will come into tabletop. You can land with your shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. The toes are hidden behind the thighs. And then the knees are hips width distance, or you can do 2 fists if you want to measure it out like that. And then spreading the fingers as wide as you can so that you feel the skin in between the fingers stretching. And in order to take pressure off of the wrists when you're doing things like chaturanga or plank even, or anything where the hands are on the ground, it's best to practice it in a position like tabletop where there's not that pressure, that as intense pressure. So really keeping the hands active and moving through your cat-cows in your own time, moving through any other movements that the spine wants to take. But just remembering your foundation. So you can kind of feel your body moving around the foundation, but keeping in mind at all times what is making contact with the floor. What is your support? So it's going to be the hands, the knees, the shins. If you're feeling a lot of pressure in the knees, you can always bring a blanket under there. You can always try to root down in the tops of your feet and shins to take a little pressure off. That'll activate the core a bit too. And you can also try tucking the toes under. In some people's body, that feels better. So just exploring what feels best for you. And just noticing the shape that your spine is making as it changes shapes. You can wag the tail, you can take circles with the whole torso, kind of rotating in big circles. You could also take circles with the neck, with the shoulders. Just allow your spine to freestyle. So you can close the eyes and just try to step out of the way of thinking and just allow your body to move how it wants to move, trusting that natural intelligence of the body, trusting that your body will move into the position that is needed at this time. And just staying linked with the breath. So keeping the focus on your inhales and exhales for 3 more breaths. Feeling the back body expanding, feeling the front body expanding, both side bodies. Awesome. And then you can come back to your neutral spine and we'll just add a slight rotation into the upper back. So you can start to bend your left elbow and look over your right shoulder. And it can come all the way to the ground. If it goes there, it doesn't have to. And just kind of feel that nice rotation, and then you can switch sides. So straighten out the left, bend into the right, look over the left shoulder. And you can move with your breath a few times back and forth like this. Feeling any cracks or pops or creaks. Breathing into the upper back. And just do one more time on each side, and then we'll meet back at the center. Great. And then once you're back, you can walk the hands forward, melt the heart down, come into puppy pose, keeping those hips over the knees and keeping the energy. This is very similar to down dog. So keeping the energy reaching up through the space in between your sit bones, feeling that straightness in the spine, feeling the space from the fingertips through the sit bones. Breathing into the shoulders. Breathing into the upper back, surrendering in the front of your heart. Just a few more breaths. Great. And then you can start to tuck the navel up to the spine and walk your hands back about halfway. Tuck the toes under and keep that energy lifting up through the sit bones and rise to your down dog. So just feeling that similarity between these two poses. Doing one after the other, really feeling the space between the fingertips and the sit bones, exaggerating that space. You can keep your knees bent the whole time if you want. The stretch down the backs of the legs is secondary. This is mainly a stretch for the spine, lengthening the spine as much as possible. And then letting the hamstrings come second. You can also stretch out the soles of the feet if you'd like by bringing the heels over the balls of the feet with all the toes on the ground and exploring the different areas that feel good to stretch right now. And then see if you can find just a little bit of stillness for 2 big breaths. Feeling this inverted V shape that we're in. Your hips is the highest point in the body. And then bend the knees, look up toward the top of your mat and start to walk the feet to meet your hands. As you inhale, lengthen your spine forward, crown of the head forward, halfway lift. And then as you exhale, release, forward fold. Bending the knees very generously, Just allowing everything to dangle. And continuing to feel your tailbone as the highest point in the body. Feeling length down the backs of the legs, even when they're bent. And seeing how heavy you can get your head and shoulders to be. Seeing how much you can release. Bring your awareness to the soles of your feet and the length and width of what is supporting you right now, your feet. Feeling the toes actively pressing toward the earth. Feeling the corners and edges of the feet making contact with the earth. And release fully for 3 more breaths, breathing into the lower back, the entire length of the spine, allowing a little bit more space between the vertebrae. 1 more big exhale. Right. And then you can inhale to your halfway lift. So reach the crown of your head forward and then bring your hands to your hips and then press your hips forward, activating the core to bring yourself up to stand with a flat back. So in your mountain pose. And feeling the strength of your body, feeling the straight lines of your body, feeling that micro bend in the knees. You can let your fingertips reach toward the floor, feel expansion across the heart. Head over hips, head over heart, over hips, over heels. Great. And then on your next inhale, sweep the arms out and up, get even longer. And then exhale, hinge at your hips, lead with that heart and forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the crown of your head forward, halfway lift. Exhale, release, forward fold. Plant your hands, step both feet back to your plank. Pausing for 2 breaths here, feeling the strength of your core, feeling the legs reaching toward each other, heels reaching back, crown of the head reaching forward. And then always option to bring the knees down. You can bend the elbows alongside the ribs and bring yourself down to your belly. On your next inhale, rise the heart off the mat to your baby cobra, crown of the head reaching forward. And exhale, release. You can tuck the toes under and push yourself back up through a plank and then go to down dog, or you can keep the knees bent, go up through a table and lift the hips, down dog. Awesome, 3 big breaths. Let it out, maybe lion's breath, sticking the tongue out, looking toward the forehead. Just letting it go. Wrapping the triceps so that you feel almost as if your armpits could face each other. And feeling your heart reaching toward your thighs. Great. On your next inhale, raise your right leg back and up and keep the hips square to start so that you feel just that straight line from the right fingertips through the right toes. And then next exhale, you can bend your knee and stack the hips. So stacking your right hip on top of left, opening that up. And maybe looking under the right armpit for a moment and then looking back at the center, squaring the shoulders back. So you feel that twist in the torso with your shoulders square to the mat and your hips square to the wall. Great. You can take circles with that knee, going a time or 2 in both directions. Warming up the hips. Stay with your breath. 1 more. And then next inhale, level out the hips, extend the right leg, and exhale, bend the knee in toward the chest, shift the shoulders over wrist, and bring the foot to the top of your mat. You can always use your right hand. And then we're going to drop the back knee down. So we're going to come into a low lunge. So you can get that right distance. You can drop the knee down. You can keep the toes tucked or point the toe. And just for a moment, release your head fully so that You feel that increased stretch in the left hip flexor. So you'll be feeling this on the front of the left thigh. And the more you release the head, the more you'll feel it there. Great. And now start to activate your pelvic floor. So you feel the pubic bone coming toward both hip points. You feel the scissoring of the inner thighs. And rise your arms up to your low lunge. And you can stay rooted in the top of the back foot, or if the toes are tucked, into the toes, so that you feel the strength in your legs and you're not just pressing all the pressure on your knee. Awesome. And then reach your left arm forward and right arm back. You're twisting, twisting toward your right thigh. Maybe even looking back over the right fingertips, keeping everything about your pelvic region tight and secure here. One more breath. Great, and then just bring your left arm to the ground and reach the right arm up to the ceiling. Awesome, and keeping that back leg active. Great, and then you can frame your front foot, tuck the back toes, step back to a plank, move through a flow, and we'll meet in down dog. Great. Just letting it go. When you're ready, we can move through that on the other side. So on your next inhale, raise your left leg back and up, keeping that length on the left side of the body from the left fingers through the toes. And then you can bend the knee, stack the left hip on top of the right, and open up. Maybe looking under that left armpit for a moment, and then looking back at the center, feeling that twist. You can take circles with the left knee, going in both directions. Just starting to open up the left hip. Staying strong in the hands, relaxing the face. One more breath. And then you can level out the hips, extend the left leg as you inhale. And exhale, knee comes into chest, shifting the weight forward. You can place the left foot at the top of your mat. And get that right distance between the feet, and then allow the back knee to drop down and untuck the toes and totally release your head. So you feel that increased stretch in the right hip flexor. Just taking this moment to fully release the face, even the muscles in the face. And then begin to activate the pelvic floor and the inner thighs reach toward each other, and using your core to rise yourself up to your low lunge. So feeling all the qualities of a high lunge that we usually feel. So the pelvic region is tight and active. Your inner thighs are scissoring toward each other, but that front knee staying over the front ankles. Back leg is active, even though it's on the floor. And then as you exhale, you can reach your right arm forward, left arm back, twisting toward your inner left thigh. Maybe looking over the left fingertips even. Great. And then you can slowly start to reach the right arm forward and then down to the ground and reach the left arm up toward the sky. Maybe looking up at that hand. Just feeling everything about your legs staying the same, just adding this twist. One more breath in. And then exhale, the arms come to frame your front foot. You can tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, and make your way back to a plank, moving through your vinyasa if you'd like, and we'll meet in down dog. Awesome. Take 2 big exhales, maybe fluttering the lips, maybe sighing it out, maybe lion's breath. And then you can bend the knees, look up and step up. Inhale, lengthen the spine, half lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, root down through the feet and rise up to stand, reaching the arms out and up. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Let's take a moment to catch back up with the breath, to tune into the heartbeat. Remind yourself why you're here. Great. And then we'll move through another flow before we start to slow down. So when you're ready, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen that spine, half lift. Exhale, let that go. Plant the hands, step back to your plank. Move through a vinyasa if you'd like, and we'll meet in down dog. Great. So on your next inhale, raise your right leg back and up, keeping the hips square. And then exhale, knee pulls into chest, step the right foot to the top of your mat. And we'll keep the back heel lifted and the back knee lifted and rise up to your high lunge. So this is a balancing pose. And if at any point it's too much for that back heel to stay lifted, then you can bring the sole of the foot to the ground. But just trying to keep your back heel reaching back and the back of your back knee reaching up toward the ceiling. Keeping the hips scissoring, just like in a warrior one. Keeping the spine straight, tailbone tucks down, fingers reach up, one more breath in. And then exhale, open yourself up to warrior two. So your back heel pivots to the floor. Feeling that right hip opening up, feeling the same expansion across the heart as when we first started practice. Great. And then on your next inhale, flip your front palm and reach up and then back to reverse your warrior. And then inhale back to center. Start to slowly straighten out your front leg and turn your feet parallel to each other. You can bring your hands to your hips and inhale, lift your heart toward the ceiling. And then we'll exhale, hinge at your hips, wide leg forward fold. You can totally release. You can keep a generous bend in the knees, just like in our regular forward fold. Just keeping the energy reaching up through the space between the sit bones, keeping the upper body heavy and relaxed. Breathing into whatever area you're feeling this the most. Finding movements if that's what's called for, or stillness. Great. And then staying folded here. Let's just start to walk the hands over to the right foot. Turn your right toes to face forward. Frame your front foot. Lift the back heel and step to your plank. Move through a vinyasa and we'll meet in down dog. Awesome. One more, just like that. On your next inhale, raise that left leg back and up. Exhale, the foot steps to the top of your mat and we'll rise to our high lunge. So keeping that back heel lifted, reaching up, keeping the inner thighs being magnetically drawn toward each other. Back leg is super strong. Front leg is also super strong. Tailbone's tucking down, crown of the head and fingers reaching up. Perfect. One more breath in to get a little taller. And then exhale, open yourself up, warrior two. Back heel pivots. The left hip opens. Feeling the power of this pose. Feeling just how strong your body is. And then flip your front palm, inhale to reverse your warrior, reaching up and then back, getting length down the left side of the body. Inhale, bring the arms back to center. And then exhale to straighten out the front leg. Turn your feet now to face the corners of your mat, so your heels are slightly in. And we'll come into a brief goddess squat. So options with the arms, you can cactus them, you can bring them out straight, you can bring them to your hips, heart center. The options are yours. And then just sinking the hips down and keeping your knees, the outsides of your knees, reaching back behind you so that you feel that openness, keeping your feet very strong. It looks perfect. You can also keep your hands on the insides of the thighs, yeah. Whatever works. And now as you exhale, you can bring your hands here and then exhale your right shoulder down, look over the left. Inhale to center and to the other side. You can do this at your own pace a few times in both directions. It's really feeling into the shoulders. Releasing something on each exhale. Awesome. And whenever you're ready, you can come back to center, extend the legs, parallel the feet to each other, and we can come into our wide leg forward fold again. If you want to take that shoulder stretch by interlacing the hands behind you and pulling the fists toward the ground and folding forward like that, you can do that. Totally optional. You can just take a normal posture with the hands at any point. It's whatever feels good for you. Wherever you are, just releasing something on the exhales. At any point, you can release the hands and just let everything dangle. Letting out some big audible exhales to inform your nervous system that we are softening, we are relaxing. Do 2 more breaths here. Great. And then slowly just start to walk your hands over toward your left foot. Turn those toes to face forward. Frame the front foot, lift your back heel, step back plank, move through your vinyasa, and we'll meet in down dog. Great. When you're ready, you can bend the knees, look forward, and step the feet. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. And exhale, let that go. Inhale, rise up to stand, reaching up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Perfect. We'll do balancing pose. We'll do 2 balancing poses on either side before we cool down. So you can start to come into your mountain pose, maybe shake it out, and just feel steady and stable on both feet. We're going to be doing 2 poses. So we'll do tree and then we'll move into eagle. I'll guide you through it. So start to shift the weight onto your left side and you can bring that foot into a kickstand. So the ball of the right foot's on the ground, the heel is on the ankle, the knees reaching back. And this can be your tree. You can totally stay here, just trying to keep your hips facing forward, but your knee is opening up to the side. If this is okay, you can bring the sole of your foot to the calf And then if you want to go further, bring it to the inside of the left thigh, just avoiding the knee area. And keeping that micro bend in your left leg as well. That'll strengthen the muscles and keep you steady. So wherever you are is perfect, finding that focal point, seeing the shape that your body's in, staying with the breath, feeling that center line of your body. So let the energy lift up through the sole of your left foot, through the inside of that left leg, through the pubic bones, and reaching through the crown of your head. Awesome. And now we'll slowly start to transition. And if you want to come to mountain in between, you can do that. But you can start to release your foot from your thigh and face your knee forward. And then you'll start to kind of like you're in a chair position, start to bend into your left leg and cross your right leg over. And you can stay like that. You could also try to wrap your ankle on the other side of your calf. And then the top leg is the bottom arm. So if your right leg's on top, then your right arm is on bottom. And you can do this eagle arms as well. So wrapping, you can bend the elbows and cross your left elbow over right and kind of wrap the arms like that. It's all optional. So this is a very difficult pose, but picturing how when we do this on our back, picturing squeezing, that's why we squeeze. We squeeze the inner thighs toward each other, squeeze the inner arms toward each other. Keep that focal point. Keep the elbows lifting up a little bit, feeling that stretch. One more breath. It's really difficult. It's okay if you're wobbly. Great, and then you can slowly release the arms, unwind the legs, come back to standing, shake it out. Cool. So then we'll move through that on the other side. You can come back to mountain, start to shift the weight to the right, and come into that kickstand. Again, totally welcome to stay here the whole time. This is the same tree pose. It's the same things are active. Wherever you are today is perfect. And if your body is welcome to go further today, you can do that. Just trusting that your balance is different every single moment. Just being okay where you are in this moment. Keeping all the components of the pose in mind. That micro bend in your standing leg, the energy reaching up through the sole of the foot. You can also press your bouncing foot into your standing leg and vice versa. So everything is pressing toward the center. Inner thighs are even reaching toward each other. That pelvic floor is active. Great. And then you can slowly start to release that foot. Turn your knee to face forward, and we'll transition into our eagle. So you can bend at the elbows and cross the arms first. You can do that second. You can skip that altogether. Just crossing that left leg over the right, sitting into that chair, maybe hooking the ankle, squeezing everything to the center line, squeezing the inner thighs, squeezing the inner arms, lifting the elbows slightly, feeling that stretch across the back. And it's okay to even have your left toes on the ground as like a little kickstand. A few more breaths, squeezing as hard as you can. Stay with your breath, relax the face. Great. And then slowly begin to straighten your standing leg, unwind the arms, release, shake it out. We made it. Great. And then, so transition to the floor. You can step toward the back of your mat. Inhale, the arms reach. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen that spine one more time. Exhale, release. And then just walk your hands forward and bring your knees to the floor. You can untuck the toes and sit into your child's pose. Your knees can be together. If you want to focus more on the spine, you can be in embryo pose with the arms behind you and just kind of curled into a tiny ball. You can widen the knees and fold inside of the thighs. You can make a pillow with the hands, reach them forward or back, really just whatever feels good. And let it go. Soften the face and the jaw completely. Soften the hips and the spine. Two more breaths here. And then begin to walk your hands back toward your seat, rolling up the spine. And when you're ready, you can shift your weight to either side and bring the legs out in front. You can shake out the legs, maybe windshield wiper the feet back and forth. And then let's come into a single leg forward fold. So you can bring the sole of your left foot inside of the right thigh. And just feel that space between the right heel and the right sit bone. So maybe pulling that flesh of the right sit bone back slightly. And feeling that space right at your hip. You can even put your hand here and inhale to lift the crown of your head. And exhale to hinge there, to hinge at that hip. And you can keep your hands framing your right leg maybe and keep your heart reaching toward your shin or your toes. Or if you want to make this a bit more passive, you can have a slight bend in your right leg. You can curl in the spine. You can relax the foot. You can relax the head. So either stretching passively or actively. Totally up to you. And if you are curling into the spine and softening, you can just feel yourself stretching deeper just by relaxing, just by stepping out of the way and not trying to get deeper into the pose, but just accepting where you are in it already. And then feeling how your body is allowed to soften. The stomach softens, the jaw, the forehead. But you feel the back of your right leg just allowing itself to melt and get a little bit longer. And 3 more exhales here. Great. And then you can slowly begin to walk the hands back to your seat, rolling up the spine. And bring your left knee to face up toward the ceiling and just step the foot outside of your leg, your right leg. So crosses over. And you can bring your left arm back behind you and maybe hug your left knee into your chest or hook the elbow on the outside and just look over your left shoulder, starting to twist. On your inhales, let the crown of your head reach up, and on your exhales, twist a little deeper. Maybe look over the shoulder, relaxing the stomach. And feel your left shoulder and your right toes reaching in opposite directions. Even like your eyes reaching in the opposite direction as your right toes. Great. And then you can start to turn your head back to center, turn the shoulders back to center, uncross the legs, shake them out, maybe windshield wiper a few times with the knees. And then we'll do that on the other side. You can start to extend your left leg forward, bring the sole of the right foot inside, and just take a version of this stretch that you did on the other side. So whether you kept the spine straight and led with your heart hinging, keeping it active, you can do that. Or if you curled, then curl. Releasing the body fully. You could even hug the back of your knee, and that'll keep it bent a little bit too. And just soften fully, soften in the face fully, soften in the shoulders. And just envision the left leg getting a little bit longer each time you exhale. About 3 more big breaths. And then slowly begin to come out, winding the spine back up. Turn your right knee up toward the ceiling. Step the foot outside of the left leg. Right hand can come behind you, and you can either hug your right knee toward the chest or hook the arm on the outside and look over the right shoulder. The same thing over here, feeling the crown of your head reach up on your inhales and maybe bringing your chin over the right shoulder a bit more on the exhales. And feeling the left foot and the right shoulder reaching in opposite directions, or your eyes in the left foot. About 3 more breaths. All right, and then you can begin to unwind, turn your head back center, the shoulders, unwind the legs, can reset with some windshield wipers or straighten the legs, shake them out, whatever works. And then we will start to transition onto our backs, so you can make your way there in your own time. Maybe continuing the windshield wipers when you arrive, getting into different areas of the glutes, the upper glutes. Or you can hug the knees toward the chest whenever and massage the lower back. And whenever you feel ready to do so, you can reach your legs and arms up toward the ceiling. You can relax all the muscles in the legs and the arms and just allow them to rest in their sockets. And feel the entire back body pinned against the mat by the weight of your limbs. Allowing all of your organs to settle into place. Allowing all the blood to rush into the torso. Giving the hands and feet a little break. Just a few more breaths like this. And then whenever you are ready, you can come into a happy baby, reaching for the outsides of the feet or the toes or the thighs, finding stillness with the hips and shoulders reaching toward the mat, soles of the feet reaching toward the ceiling. You can rock side to side, take turns straightening each leg, maybe straighten both legs. And then whenever you feel ready, you can let the soles of your feet find each other and slowly walk the hands up your legs to lower the outside edges of your feet to the mat, landing in your reclined butterfly pose. And you're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. But if at any point you'd like to straighten the legs out completely and come into your final resting pose, you can do that whenever. And just releasing fully into your mat. Sorry, I had to pee. Just feeling all of the healing benefits of the poses we did today, swimming throughout your body. And just observing and allowing the healing benefits of the practice of yoga to heal you, to exist within you. Allowing your body to feel safe and supported. Feeling a sense of patience and compassion and gratitude for your journey. As you remind yourself of all of the things you have overcome to be here right now. Reminding yourself of how wonderful and awesome your body is. How wonderful and awesome you are. And just tuning into your heartbeat for a moment. Feeling into your heart center. And just giving some thanks to whatever force it is that allows your heart to beat. The fact that your heart is beating without any of your doing or control. Your lungs are breathing. Your organs are functioning. Your ears can hear. Your eyes can see. Just reminding yourself of everything you already have to be so grateful for the practice of yoga, this union. If you would like to stay here longer, please feel free to do so. If you're ready, you can start to call air into the body and feel yourself filling up with your inhales to every corner and edge of the shape that you're in. Feeling the air able to flood your body with a bit more ease than when we started the practice. Feeling yourself a bit more connected to your breath and to the air that surrounds you. You can wiggle the fingers and toes, rock the head. You can take a big morning stretch. Maybe let out a yawn or any noises. And then make your way to a fetal position when you're ready. Just honoring this primal pose, the first pose all of us took in our lives. And then as you're ready, you can slowly rise up to your seat. And we'll meet with hands at heart center. Taking this moment to deeply thank yourself for showing up and for always showing up. And may this practice continue to heal you and bring love into everything that you do and to everyone that you see. Namaste.